Will and Jada Smith announced that they've been secretly separated for 7 years. This news does not come as a shock, but it's certainly interesting in light of Slapgate.
Richard!
Jada, she has branded and presented herself for years as this direct, straight talker on her now canceled podcast, RIP, Red Table Talk.
This is a table, a red table.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I actually don't look at it as a table at all. Yeah.
Jada, it's a table.
Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC with Hoda. Her and Will Smith are going to be talking about how they have been living completely separate lives for the last 7 years. Here is a preview clip of the interview. Now, it's a few minutes long. I didn't want to play like a 5-minute interview without interjecting. It's a little too long to go without me. But, so I've broken it up into parts, and I'll play them, and then I'll pause, and then I'll interact with them with you. So the reason she is doing this interview and a lot of interviews is because she has a new memoir coming out called Worthy, FYI.
The thing that surprised me the most, that I actually had to reread it because I said, is this true?
Right.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
Yes.
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
But in public, the couple, who married in 1997, denied the gossip about their marriage. This interview on Bravo's Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen was taped a year after Will and Jada separated.
So how long have you guys been together?
23 years.
Wow. That's amazing. How do you keep it hot?
How do I keep it hot? Maybe I don't know. I'm baffled, really.
Yeah, right.
So she's a liar, and she's a bad actress. One of those we've always known. Okay, I understand taking maybe a year at most to figure out as a famous married couple of 20 plus years, okay, well, how are we gonna announce our separation to the public? Her excuse of a separation going on for 7 years because they just needed time to figure out how to talk about it makes 0 sense. I would guess that it must have been more lucrative from a business and celebrity standpoint to kind of continue this ruse of being a Hollywood power couple as opposed to just telling people the truth.
Over the next several years, Jada and Will kept up the appearance of a committed married couple. They even faced a scandal when Jada had what she called an entanglement with a family friend. Neither let the public know they had already split.
So I guess my question is, I feel like you're a straight talker,
I am.
except you're not sometimes.
Yeah.
So why do that? Like, what was the reason?
I think just not being ready yet. Still trying to figure out between the two of us
Yeah.
how to be in partnership, right? And in regards to how do we present that to people, And we hadn't figured that out.
Okay, can I just bring up the fact that the family friend she slept with was her child's friend? So let's just get that straight, number one. Let me just remind you of that little tidbit. Also notice the hair. A lot of you in the chat pointing out, hello, the hair. Remember the whole alopecia thing? So just, there's that.
Why did the relationship fracture?
Oh, well, why it fractured, that's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think by the time we got to 2016, we were just exhausted with trying. I think we were both kind of still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be.
Jada says she considered a legal divorce, but could never go through with it.
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
But you still live separately.
We live separately.
let me just reiterate what she's arguing. You can't get a legal divorce because you made a promise and a vow to each other and you don't want to break it. So you just divorce anyways and think that somehow you have cheated the system by not actually just going to the courts to do it. It's still a divorce. You are sleeping with other people.
You and I were going through a very difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
We broke up.
What are you talking about?
We were over.
We specifically never said we were over.
I was in a lot of entanglement. So much entanglement.
Yeah.
Long entanglement. And I'm really grateful for that. It felt good.
You don't live together. You live entirely separate lives. That isn't marriage. You're spitting on marriage, and there is no moral justification for what you're doing. If you're going to just not be married, then yes, just get a divorce. They haven't been working it out for 7 years, it sounds like. So what is the point, I guess, of this not actually legally going through with it, but doing it otherwise? Like, since they're not Christians, I don't understand the argument of why not just get divorced. But also, I don't understand the point of marriage if you're not a Christian in the first place. Marriages are largely failing, and I believe that's because a real marriage is supposed to be centered on God. If the goal of a non-Christian is to get married for one person to fulfill your needs or, fill this hole in your life, the truth is it's going to take more than one person to fulfill that emptiness in your life. So isn't it kind of written in the stars that it's not going to work out? Now, for the Christians, this is going to get spicy. One of my more spicier takes, and honestly, I'm just coming to terms with it myself. This isn't something I've always thought or even ever thought of. Just something recently I've been kind of thinking over. So just, if you're ready, let me know you're ready. My personal belief is that God hates divorce and that for the Christian, the only permissible reason to divorce, even though God doesn't like it still, the only permissible reason is for abuse. Now, wait. You will find in Matthew 19:8 that is the case, that abuse would be the only permissible reason. However, God still hates it. The abused is not called to remarry. 1 Corinthians 7:10 through 11. Scripture says you are not permitted to remarry as a Christian unless your spouse dies. Never thought about this until very recently. I'm still wrapping my head around it, but I told you this was going to be spicy even for the Christian conservatives. I would love to do an interview with someone on this subject for myself on the spillover or hear somebody else cover it on their podcast. So, if you should suggest this subject as a topic to some of your favorite Christian conservative podcasters and then send me the episode if they cover it. But 1 Corinthians 7:39 says, a wife is bound to her husband as long as he lives. But if her husband dies, she is free to be married to whom she wishes, only in the Lord. If a man or woman remain faithful to their wedding vows before and after the marriage, death releases them. This is so theologically deep, controversial, spicy, but anyways, Jada and Will are not Christians. None of this applies to them, but just an interesting fun fact and rabbit hole on something I've been recently thinking about. If I am right, and the reason that they kept the separation secret for 7 years was for celebrity or business optics, now the public knows. So now I really don't see the point in staying together. And the other big question I have, immediately after I saw this news, I was like, now wait a minute. What was Slapgate actually about then? Jada wrote in her new memoir, Worthy, that Chris Rock actually asked her out on a date one summer, said, I'd love to take you out. And she said, what do you mean? And he was like, well, aren't you and Will getting a divorce? And she said, no, Chris, those are just rumors. She said that Chris was appalled and profusely apologized, and that was that. They never spoke of it again. He never hit on her again. Knowing that information, I'm like, okay, so was the slap the result of years of pent-up anger and humiliation and cuckery that Will Smith was forced to endure? Don't you think maybe it was a little triggering knowing that this guy tried to date your wife, that your wife has been sleeping with your kids' friends behind your back, that she refuses to commit to you? Don't you think that would be a little triggering, just set you over the edge? Will Smith jeopardized his career, assaulted a man for absolutely nothing. Jada can't even get it together and work it out with the man who put everything on the line for her. And maybe that was his spur of the moment grand gesture idea to get her back. And it didn't even work. So emasculating. And also, look at the Smith kids. Okay? This whole like, we're gonna be together and be divorced but not really divorced thing. The Smith kids, total weirdos.
Did you have a good time working with your dad?
Well, no, because he tricked me. I thought it was a comedy, but it was actually a drama. What does your dad do?
Keep my name out your f***ing mouth!
Certainly not well-adjusted, not normal. There's been rumors for years that Jada is a Scientologist. She has always denied it. She says that she isn't a member of the church, but has admitted to taking classes there. I don't know why in the world you would take classes from a cult if you aren't a member, but you know who isn't a problematic couple that I adore? The Beckhams. We're all obsessed with David and Victoria Beckham all over again. Some of us for the first time. For me, this is the first time. Thanks to the new docuseries Beckham on Netflix, I have this new obnoxious and annoying obsession with David and Victoria Beckham that I have never had. I have never cared about them. And I knew that they were a pretty big deal, but I think I've always just been a little removed from them personally, probably due to them being British. You know, we live in America. They were really at their peak when I was very little. So I was born in 93. I was too young to know or appreciate the entire frenzy in the moment of their relationship. And then when I finally was old enough to get it, it was just like, well, I know that they're super famous or whatever. They've been together forever, but they were just not even really in the news at that point. For when I finally appreciated it, it's like, we never hear about them until now. I don't think I ever realized how much of a superstar couple that they were until this docuseries. The entire time I'm watching this on Netflix, I'm like, oh my gosh, they are the Travis and Taylor of the 90s. The public obsession, the crosshairs of being sports and pop culture. She's a pop star. He's a superstar athlete. Hello. The crazy paparazzi, unhinged, her going to his games. I mean, it's like looking in the mirror to what we have seen in the last several weeks with Travis, Kelce, and Taylor Swift. Is it not? I've never appreciated just how absolutely beautiful this man has been since birth. He shaved his head. He grows a beard. He gets neck tattoos. He wears a skirt. Yes, that happened. I didn't know that had happened. And somehow he's still a 10. David Beckham, one of the hottest men on earth, besides that quarterback that I posted about last night on YouTube Shorts, Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman and David Beckham, two of the hottest men I've ever seen in my life. Victoria Beckham is blessed. David Beckham is still so hot, and he is almost 50 years old. I had never seen their wedding photos until this Netflix special, and it's the way I died at these. Grimace approved this wedding. Victoria and David Beckham wore head-to-toe purple and made their guests wear black and white. They didn't tell them they were going to wear purple. It was just so iconic. And then, the way that David Beckham loves Victoria with his whole heart, mind, and soul is so beautiful and so refreshing. Not without its problems, which we'll get to. But it has always been her since day one. He would fly, he would drive several hours, whatever it took, just they talk about it for a few minutes with her. If she was like, baby, I'm on tour, I literally have 30 minutes between your games and me being on, tour for Spice Girls, like I have 30 minutes to see you today, he'd be like, done. And he would spend the money, he would charter a plane, he would do whatever it took to have a few minutes with her. Ugh. And they've managed to stay together for 24 years, despite what seems to be an affair or several affairs. So they barely this is the only frustrating part of the documentary, and this is really my only criticism of it. They barely touch on this on the doc, which was super frustrating. And I don't know if that is because the documentary dude who's interviewing them gets too close to his subjects where it was awkward and uncomfortable and he befriended them too much to want to talk about it, or if he was told that he couldn't. I don't think that they were executive producers on this docuseries or anything. So I don't know why the documentary filmmaker couldn't ask them about the affair allegations. He really should have. I had never heard about the affair allegations before, but it seems like he did cheat on her when they had to spend a year apart when he was playing for Madrid. And this was 2004, and I guess a couple women have accused David Beckham of cheating throughout the years. I think it's true because it was they talked about it in the docuseries very briefly without saying it. The interview guy who's asking the questions in the documentary, he doesn't say, did you cheat or did you not cheat? He never got them to say a direct answer, but they were yeah, so the Madrid stuff was super difficult. That was the hardest part of our marriage, all this. But it's well, what was difficult? The fact that he did have an affair confirmed or just the rumors that he was when he wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, we need to know. Essentially, what ended up happening for me was that I'm watching this and I'm like, well, now this is making me crave more moments between the two of them. Like, I've never seen them interact like this, like an old married couple before. I need more. And now I want a reality show of the entire family. I want the Kardashians to be over. I want the Beckhams to take their spot. I want answers on the cheating allegations. But most importantly, they really seem hilarious as a couple. I love their dynamic.
We're very working class.
Be honest.
I am being honest. I am being honest.
What car did your dad drive you to school in?
So my dad did...
No, one answer.
My dad...
What car was it?
All right, it's not a simple answer because...
What did you get your dad to drive
It depends.
To school in? No.
Okay,
What
in the
car?
80s, my dad had a Rolls Royce.
Thank you.
That was the best moment. That's the clip that's gone viral from the docuseries. Absolutely loved that. I need more. And don't forget that their son, Brooklyn, is 24 and married to Nicola Peltz. It's been rumored that Nicola and Victoria have not gotten along. They had a very rocky relationship. Did David and Victoria go to Brooklyn's wedding? Why am I thinking they didn't even go to the wedding? Like, there's been a lot of drama in that family. Again, perfect for reality TV. And Brooklyn and Nicola are very, very close friends with Selena Gomez. Literally together every day. It's almost like a little bit weird. It's like I almost think she needs to back off a little bit because it's almost like a throuple situation, which I don't love. Like, you got to give them some time, but they are always with her. The Beckhams have 4 kids. I didn't realize they had so many kids either, including a 12-year-old daughter who is freaking precious. David just posted the cutest little reel of a bunch of moments with her on Instagram. This family is reality TV gold. Watch the docuseries. Thumbs up this video on your way out. Subscribe to Real Alex Clark anywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Join the Cute Conservatives Facebook group if you have not yet. Every week we do this and then we get more members of the Cute Conservatives Facebook group, which is super fun. If you want the camaraderie, the community in the conversation, Cute Conservatives on Facebook for all that conservative. It's pop culture without the propaganda. I'm Alex Clark and this is POPlitics.